Alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. Fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So today's reminder is very brief. Ramadan is a shock to a lot of people's minds, hearts, bodies. Sleep routine, eating, drinking, all of that. Those people who don't generally read namaz throughout the year, then they've got that shock as well of namaz, then fasting and everything in one go. Those who generally are observant of their obligations throughout the year, it's less of a shock for them. Yeah. They're not that disturbed by the whole thing. To make the most of Ramadan, you've got to be consistent. And part of consistency is planning. You've got to have a structure and a plan. The example I'll give you for Taraweeh. If somebody says, oh, this year I'm going to read some Taraweeh here and some Taraweeh there, I guarantee you some days they will be here and some days they will be there and some days they will be nowhere. Yes? Because there's no structure. You're like, oh, I'll go here today. Or I'll go join them lot today. I'll read here today. And I bet you a good percentage of that person's Taraweeh will be nowhere. Because there's no structure. It's not about being at a place, at a time. Similar with Quran. You're like, oh, I'm going to read 2-3 spari in one go. You probably do that, but just once a week. And then the rest of the week, you probably won't. Because you think you're ahead. And then before you know it, you fall behind. The way you do it is it's small and it's consistent. And if, for example, when you're reading Quran, let's say you read a quarter juz per day, but you sit in the same place when you do it. So if in your living room or wherever, if it's in your namaz room at home, you sit in one place at the same time for the same duration of time and you read. The next day, same place, same time, you do the same again. That becomes a habit then that you know, this is my routine now. If you just randomly one day you're reading Quran in the car and the next day, in the living room, and then you're reading in your bedroom and you're all over the place. There's no structure. Whereas if you have structure and you don't do something, you'll feel like something missing. Why? Because human nature is like that. Structure is very, very important. You know you've got to be at a certain place at a certain time. That is structure. And that's how you make the most of Ramadan, by having a plan and a timetable. I know the last 10 days, we've had obviously school, kids have been at school runs. But now these next 2 weeks, it's a good time. Obviously, you've got the Easter bank holiday and Sunday and Friday and all of that. So now it's a good time for us and our kids to have a little timetable, bit of structure to what are we going to do in this time, how are we going to spend it. There needs to be a balance, not about just killing yourself, but there has to be some productivity in these weeks. Otherwise, we'll get to the end and we'll be like, you know what, we've kind of just wasted this Ramadan. Never mind, maybe next one, right? But who knows who's going to be here for the next one or not. It's very important to have that structure. Otherwise, we lose precious time. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr, that by time, mankind is in a state of loss. And the interesting thing is, people consider and know Ramadan time is more precious than non-Ramadan time. If you have someone to go, I don't know, do something, they'll be like, I'm not doing that in Ramadan. Why? Because Ramadan's too precious. I don't want to be spending 2 hours doing such and such thing in Ramadan. It'll have to wait till after Ramadan. You put things off till after because the time in Ramadan is too precious. You want to prioritize and you want to do more religious things in Ramadan as opposed to allowing other things to come in the way. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this ability to be consistent. And the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that the best of actions are those that are small but consistent. And if we develop that small consistent now, that small consistent will last throughout the rest of the year. But if we go for the big sixes now, then we're going to go for the sixer afterwards, right? So the whole point of Ramadan is that do something you can maintain outside of Ramadan. Okay, maybe a little bit more, but do something that you can maintain. Why are you doing stuff in Ramadan that you know you're not going to be able to maintain at all, not even like 25% of that? So you build them small habits and practices that then continue. And that's when then Ramadan becomes a month of change and a month of transformation and a month of improvement. Because believers, every day should be better than his last. And that requires contemplation, that requires focus, that requires planning, that requires some kind of strategy that how do I make sure tomorrow is better than today? Every day should be an improvement, not like these massive fluctuations up and down all the time. There has to be some consistency. So may Allah Almighty grant us all tawfiq. Wa ashhadu da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.